Hello and welcome to this third and final lesson of this pre-training series before we get started on the lives. I'm excited as you are to get stuck into the live training, but before we do, let's go through this third lesson called the Intermittent Fasting Master Plan. Because we know intermittent fasting is about when you eat, not just what you eat. So you need to choose a method that fits your lifestyle and your fitness goals. Of course, if you want to go hard and lose weight quickly, then the longer term fasting is for you. If you just want to lose a few kilos and you're just feeling this out for the first time, you might want to go a little bit lighter. Now, disclaimer here, the training is not supposed to be used as medical advice. I'm not a doctor. Your health and well-being is solely on you, not me. We've already met before, but I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm an exercise physiologist, personal trainer. I have been a strength and conditioning coach for literally thousands of people of all different age groups, all different, walks of life and industries, with the focus the last 6 years on men over 40. I'm passionate about what I do, and I do what I do when I teach what I do. So the 4 key stages of fasting, we've talked about that before in the other lesson. There's the fed state, the early fasting state, the fasting state, and also the longer term fasting state. Now you know that, I'm offering you a challenge, I guess like Arnie in The Predator, where I'm offering you a challenge in order to fast. So there are different types of intermittent fasting, and you probably already know this sort of stuff, but there's things called the fasting mimicking diet. There's a time restricted eating where there's different levels, and I call this beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. There's also the 5 and 2 diet, popularized by the late Michael Mosley, but there's also the eat, stop, eat diet, and there's the alternate day fasting diet, and there's others like periodic fasting, and things like religious fasting, like black fasting as well. Let's just talk about fasting mimicking diet for a moment. So with this, you actually eat about 500 to 1,000 calories a day, and your daily macros are low protein, moderate carb, and moderate fat. Now what that means, and we haven't got time for this right now, is that you'd have small piece of protein, call it a piece of meat, very moderate levels of carbohydrates, especially if you're coming from a high carbohydrate diet. This will be a change for you metabolically, so get ready for some shifts, but you might want to just sort of come down nice and steady on this. So a fasting mimicking diet is a good way to start and begin your fasting journey. And moderate fats, so avocados, animal fats, and things like that. So day 1, when you eat, 1,000 calories, 10% protein, 55% fat, and 35% carbs is about the balance there. Day 2, you eat 500 to 700 calories, with a bit of a change in fat and carbohydrate contents there. And day 6, you might want to transition back to normal caloric intake with complex carbs, vegetables, meat, and fish and cheese and things like that. So that's a mimicking diet where you're kind of preparing your body to have less food on board than usual. Now there's a time restricted eating. Now this is the one I love the most because it involves every day for 12 hours or longer, where you're eating for the remaining hours. And I call that the eating windows. Now, many diets focus on what to eat, but intermittent fasting is all about when you eat. When intermittent fasting, you only eat during a specific time. Now, after hours without food, your body exhausts itself in its sugar stores, which I've already covered, and that starts burning fat. Now, this causes a process known as metabolic switching. For example, the time-restricted eating, there's a beginner level, which is kind of like a 12 and 12, and there's a 16 and 8. So 12 and 12 means you'll fast for 12 hours, you'll eat in that 12-hour window. The 16 and 8 means you'll fast for 16 hours and you'll eat in that 8-hour window. The intermediate is more of a OMAD, which is a 1 meal a day, and the NOMAD is a no meal a day. That's getting a little bit further down the line, more into that longer term fasting. And there's a pro level, which is called UMAD, like it's a play on words from my mate Elliot Hulse in the States. He calls about it, are you mad? Well, you'd be mad to do it, but also there's some great benefits. Now, in this sort of learner stage, this beginner stage, you fast for 12 hours a day. It's nice and simple. It's a beginner-friendly level, minimal caloric change, and it's nice and easy. The 12 and 12, it's easy to include into your life. And that period where you're sleeping is really your fasting window. So an example there is you fast between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. next day. You're asleep for much of the time, so it doesn't really matter. So going into more of that earlier beginner stage, I guess what they also call the lean gains is a 16 and 8. Now that features a 16-hour fast. So if you're a breakfast eater, you might have breakfast and a decent lunch, but you don't eat after 4 p.m., maybe even earlier, then you start your fasting. If you're a non-breakfast eater, then you move your first meal back until about lunch, and you don't eat again until 12 p.m. that next day. So that gives you that time. Then there's the excuse me. Then there's the OMAD, which is a 1 meal a day. Now that's a really prescribed feeding window here. How long it takes you to enter ketosis can really vary depending on your factors, including your age, activity level, and your metabolism, especially what you've been eating leading up to that. And then there's the PROBE, which is the NOMAD, no meals a day. And that past 48-hour window, there's no consumption. You're doing, are you mad fasting period, and that shows boosted levels of autophagy, which is that self-clean, ketosis in a full detox mode there. Now there's the 5 and 2 diet. That's where 5 days a week you're eating about 25% of your normal amount for 2 days a week. So if you normally have 2,000 calories, 25% of that is what 500 calories. So it's way less than what you normally have. And you do this to trick the body, I guess, into thinking that it's going through a bit of a state of starvation, which is good for your body to test that, I guess, level of hormesis, where your body is undergoing a bit of stress, which isn't going to kill you, but it's also good for you. Now, the very low calorie days, 500 to 600 calories, 2 days a week, is considered modified fasting, and it's very good for you. Now, the fourth method here is called the Eat Stop Eat. It involves 24-hour fast once or twice a week. So it's not the 5 and 2 where you have 500 to 600 calories for 2 days a week. It's where you complete fast for 2 days a week. Now that's an Eat Stop Eat. This period is called fasting, of course. For the 5 or 6 days a week, you can eat freely, good food choices, of course, and avoid over-consuming and trying to fill up things again. There's links to references down there for all that information. Now, the alternate day fasting, the ADF, is really where your body can fast one day and then eat what you want the next day. These different methods might work for you if you are traveling or you're having a big dinner meeting on and there's got lots of food and stuff there. That might work well. Whereas if you're in the office and you're a bit more of a contained environment, you may not eat that particular day. So hopefully that makes sense. On those fasting days, make sure you have water, unsweetened coffee, and tea. Now, if you are thinking skipping breakfast, here's something to consider. Some research done on timing of caloric loading affects appetite and hunger responses without changing energy and metabolism in healthy subjects with obesity, meaning that those who chose to not have breakfast were loading their calories more towards the end of the day because they kind of got in that sense of achievement, I guess, that they skipped breakfast, but therefore they started packing on more food later on the day. However, those that ate breakfast in the morning and then switched off their eating around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they had less calories and were able to sustain their results longer term. So skipping breakfast and shifting consumption of 3 meals to the afternoon, I guess lunchtime in the evening, is associated with reduced energy consumption and also increased hunger and risk of weight gain. So just think about that. If you skip breakfast, consider the fact that you might have lower energy and you might actually have more food towards the latter part of your day. Now, what we know about fasting is that it sort of shows that there's this short-term fasting can boost hormones like luteinizing hormones, that show that there's a huge increase after a 56-hour fast. And gonadotropin release hormone, which stimulates testosterone production, boosted testosterone by 180%. So you're thinking, well, what about my gains while I'm trying to fast and also train at the same time? You're not going to lose your gains. In fact, training during a fasted state is shown to improve up to 2,000% of your, muscle mass and your hormone boosting release. So think of that when you are doing this fasting. It's a great opportunity for you to amp up your training, push yourself a little bit. Of course, be safe about that. Now, intermittent fasting can enhance nutrient partitioning and absorption, promoting metabolic flexibility and healthier weight gain. That means muscle mass gain. Building muscle with intermittent fasting involves resistance training, adequate protein intake, and a slight caloric surplus, which means you have to have more, proper rest, and also consistency. Now, what all that means is, and I haven't got time for it in this lesson, it means make sure you lift heavy shit, have enough protein in your body, and make sure you're having enough food in your system in order to compensate for the fact that you're not having all those calories that you normally have, but you're actually having to change your diet slightly in order to see some gains. As you can see, the men who have done my previous 5-day challenges have gotten great results moving forward from this, and I hope you do too. Now it's your turn, of course, and we finished with my mission statement to help over 1,000 men by 2030 to transform their lives, achieve peak fitness, and become influential leaders in their homes and their communities. Together, we are building a legacy of resilience, strength, and ensuring that we not only survive, but our grandchildren and our great-great-grandchildren will thrive as living proof that we knew the way to do it. Strong, purposeful, and impactful. I look forward to seeing you live on day 1, where we are going to go through some impactful material for you to action each day. This stuff is, I guess, gold in a sense of the actions that should precede it. You only get the results if you take action. You turn up, that's one part of it. The second part is taking action on the lesson that I'm going to teach you. Now, these are actionable steps which you can fit into your busy, busy day. By getting up and seeing me with the Zoom camera on, with your camera on, awake, ready to go and charge, you'll get amazing results in that 1 week. I guarantee you, because the hundreds of other guys who have done it with testimonials to prove it have revealed that this works. This is a kickstart. If you've been overweight for a while and you've been wanting to get off the couch, so to speak, or even move off that particular weight measurement you're on, this is your opportunity. So make sure you show up on day 1. That is crucial. So there's 2 main steps to this. Make sure you save the calendar to your own, save the Zoom calls to your own calendar. There is a chat sequence inside the Facebook group. That's the second thing you need to do. Start interacting with the men there, because you know that if you show up and you put your hand up and say, I'm here to lose weight, I'm here to make a change, I need to be here for my kids, my grandkids, and so on, because it matters to me most, you're more likely to get a result from that. I look forward to seeing you then. That's the end of our 3 lessons pre-training. I'll see you in the lives to unfuck your guts. I'll see you then.